Hey y'all, Professor Wyman here with a short video on categorical and quantitative variables. And first, let's just revisit what a variable is. So we're talking about the quality or quantity that varies, that changes. So it has to be something that is not the same across our sample or our population of interest. So for example, here we have 4 spaceships that are identical except for size. That is the only thing that's changing. So everything else is staying the same. There's no variation in color. There's no variation in shape. The only difference is that the size is different. And so that's the only variable present. So when we talk about looking at student test scores, students are not a variable because they don't change. So with that in mind, we have 2 broad categories, broad types of variables. We're going to talk about categorical variables and quantitative variables. So categorical variables, one way to think about it is categories. And it's something that you put into a group. There are names. It's where numbers don't have a meaning. And we'll talk about there's different types of categorical variables, but for now, these broad categories. We also have quantitative variables. Those are quantities or numbers, and those are numeric values. So for example, some categories would be gender. So you could have man, woman, non-binary, a number of other gender categories. Eye color, so blue, green, brown. You have categories of eye color, saying that you have eye color number 1 and number 2 and number 3 doesn't mean anything. Saying that somebody is gender 1 doesn't mean anything, right? So that's not there's no number involved. College major is another categorical variable, dog breed, favorite food. For quantities, we're looking at something that has a number. So you could have age in years. You could have height in inches. College GPA is a number of pets. So you're counting something. Or score on an exam. Those are all examples of quantitative variables. So let's take a look at examples from the Psych 144 survey that you complete in the beginning of the semester. So here you can see who is your Psych 144 lecture instructor. So what you would do is you would select, or what you did do, you selected me as your instructor here. And then when I get that data back, I'm going to have, actually, I don't get that information. That's just for your attendance purposes. But when I get that information, or when the person who conducts this study gets the information, they have a list of participants. And for each participant, it says who their instructor is. We can't just say instructor 1, instructor 2, and have that have meaning. So these are just groups. You're going to be put into a group based on your response. So our variable here is instructor, because that's what changes here. And then the type is categorical. So which of the following best describes you here? This, we have female, male, and something else. We worded it, this is worded that way in particular so that you can talk about the challenges of wording questions around gender and biological sex. This is not how we will word it for our study. But again, this does not have a number that makes sense. We can't just say, oh, you're gender number 1. That has no meaning. So you're going to have categories or groups. So you would identify your gender or sex however you would best describe yourself. And that would be fit into a category. A couple more examples. So how many hours per week will you be devoting to schoolwork this semester? Hours, this would be a number that you would enter in. And so that number would be measured across all of the participants in this study. And that information could be used a variety of ways, but that's a number that we're asking for. So that is weekly schoolwork. We call that the variable, and that is quantitative. It's a quantity that we're looking for. Approximately how much money will you spend on textbooks for your classes this semester? Enter the number of dollars below. Do not include a dollar sign. So that's a number. Enter the number of dollars below. So money, if you're asking how much something is, you're looking for a quantity. So textbook cost would be a quantity, not a group. Are you more of a cat person or more of a dog person? So you would either select more of a cat person or more of a dog person. So you're one or the other here. Again, number doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to say, oh, this is number one. Your animal preference is number one. That just doesn't make sense. So that is type of pet or type of person, whatever you want to call it. I just called it type. And then that is a categorical variable. So again, the idea is, how are we identifying the information that we're getting? So we're collecting data, we're getting data from a number of different places, and we need to know if it's a quantity or if it's a quality or a category that it falls into, so that we can organize that information and analyze it in the correct way. So we'll continue this discussion in class, but this is a quick reference for you.